Hey, it's Becky, and today I'm going to be reviewing Feathertide by Beth Cartwright. Feathertide is about a girl who has a secret and she has to go on a life-changing journey in order to kind of find herself and find her family. So the big secret is that Marea has kind of feathers all over her body. She's like half bird kind of thing, and she has to keep hidden away in the town that she grows up in. And she grows up in a brothel with her mother and surrounded by all of these women who love her and think she's beautiful, but she struggles with herself. The hunt for her father, who she's never met and she doesn't know anything about, leads her to the city of Murmurs, which is a city full of kind of different mysteries and secrets to uncover. And I just really love the aspect of the city, as it's kind of like the city is whatever you would want it to be, kind of thing. The first thing I want to talk about is our main character. Our main character, Marea, we're not fully sure whether she's kind of a bird or whether she's kind of a fairy or why she's covered in feathers, and it's explained near the end of the book, but it's really interesting to see how she discovers herself and how she comes to terms with the fact that her feathers are part of who she is and are a good thing. And the fact that she's brought up in a brothel and she's been taught to hide in there in order to keep her safe. For example, when she goes out one time, her mother kind of runs away from the circus in case they steal her away and put her in the show. And this kind of teaching of her to hide herself away because of who she is really affects her in the book and really affects her actions and what she does. At one point she tries to kind of cut all her feathers off and kind of hurts herself. Things like that just really show the kind of person she is and how the way she's been brought up affects how she acts later on in the book. The actual description of her feathers in the book is very beautifully written. They make them seem magical and beautiful and lovely, and this directly conflicts with the reaction she has towards herself. And I think this is a really good parallel to real world beauty conformity and how we have to conform to beauty standards which aren't realistic to each person. And I really enjoyed the struggle she has because it was written so well. I also loved the aspect of the circus. It's something that she's been taught to fear and to run from, but actually when she mistakenly goes into the circus tent, she finds out that actually the mermaid that's in it isn't a real mermaid and that the acts are fake. And this kind of gives you a glimpse of what the circus actually is and whether it's actually something to be feared or not. I'm not going to tell you what happens near the end of the book because I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I really enjoyed the way that the circus comes in and out of the book and how it always comes in to kind of change the perspective and to change up what's being done, and it heavily affects our character each time it turns up. I also liked kind of the symbolic part of her growing up being trapped in her house, because she's a bird and she's basically a bird trapped in a cage, and it comes to a point where she decides that she wants to leave and she wants to go see the world and she wants to find her father, and her mother kind of has to let her fly free after kind of years of being told of the outside world and being told beautiful stories, which I guess sparks a sense of wanderlust in Marea. What really caught my attention, which I think wasn't touched upon in the book as much as it could have been, is the wishing doors in the city of Murmurs. There's these doors that you can go in and you can make a wish, and that's kind of the basis of what we know about them, but they were kind of brought up and then they weren't really used when she got to the city. And I think that was something that left me wanting more. And I'm hoping that Beth Cartwright maybe writes some books that are set in this city that include wishing doors, as I'd really love to read more about them. Whilst the feathers and the city kind of create a sense of magic and fantasy, this book isn't as fantasy as other books. It's definitely more of a focus on relationships and maturing and living out your life the best you can. Our character's storyline is that she moves to a new city to kind of find herself and find her family, and she does end up doing that. She ends up finding a whole host of found family members, and I really enjoyed the tropes. I really enjoyed reading this and seeing these people that she grows to love and care for. The book is sometimes very hectic and the book is sometimes very slow, similar to the real life, and I really enjoyed how our main character didn't really know what she was doing for most of the time. She was kind of being dragged along by other people, and the city itself was encouraging her to do different things. On the relationship side of things, there's some really good relationships. There's kind of family relationships, actual relationships, friendships, and I loved all of them. Our main character has relationships with both a female and a male. I really enjoyed the differences in them, but also the similarities, and the fact that no one really says anything about this. It's kind of normalized in this city that is the city of dreams. But what I loved most about the relationships was the fact that the book was so focused on them that they really affected our main character, and you could see how they affected her, and you could see her growing from them and changing. Even if the relationships change for better or worse, you could see her learning and becoming more of herself. By the end of the book, she's a lot more mature, she knows what she wants, she's gone out and got what she wants, and I just really enjoyed her growth from the beginning of the book when she was just a little girl who didn't really like herself. And I also liked that not everything was all good and nice and positive. Bad things happened, not hugely bad things, but bad things happened to Marea, which affected her a lot, and she got through them, and she managed to sort herself out and to change herself. Some of the things that happened to her were from her being a kind of a bad person, and she knew that and she saw that in herself, and then she tried to change to make herself better. What I liked about the city as well is that it's named so many different things. On the blurb it's called the City of Murmurs. On my mind it's the City of Dreams or the City of Water, because different people have said that's what it's called to them. To kind of enter the city you don't need a token, but once you get there you often find a token which has the name of the city for you on the other side, and this kind of made the city a character itself. We're constantly exploring different areas of the city. I have no idea the directions where people were going half the time, but they were, I was assuming they were running in the right direction. And it became so real when reading it that this is a city where anything could happen, and you can go and you can find what you want in life and be happy. And I think the relationship Marea had with the city also changes throughout the book. At the beginning she's so hopeful it's going to get her exactly what she wants, which is her father and to find her family. And then as it goes throughout the book she goes on a bit of a roller coaster. At times she wants to just go home to her mother, other times she wants to go find someplace else, other times she loves the city. And I just really enjoyed that the relationship to the location was also a factor in her life. The city also reminded me a lot of the city in a City of Circles, which is also a place where people go to find themselves, and it's magical and there's lots of different things going on. It's a bit hectic, and I just really enjoyed it as a whole. Overall as well, I would say the book is about exploration. You explore the city, you explore your relationships, and you explore even yourself in this book. And the key thing is that it's exploring the way life just throws things at you, and you have to get on with it and to live through it. And I really enjoyed, and I don't know if I'm just misremembering it or I just never picked it up, but I think we don't really learn the main character's name until very far into the book. And I think this is on purpose that it wasn't mentioned too much, because we begin to get her know her and we know her more and more, and then we finally find out her name, and it fit. It instantly fit, and we were like, oh, okay. Although I don't know if this counts because the name is on the blurb and I just hadn't picked that up before I read it. But yeah, I took a double take when her name was on page, because I just realised that the book is so focused on these characters, but it doesn't even name the main character often, because why would it? Overall, I just think Feathertide is a beautifully written book. I enjoyed reading it. There was so much going on, and the writing style of Beth Cartwright just made the world and the kind of real life things that aren't magical at all just seem that bit more magical. However, there isn't a lot of actual magic, I would say, in this book. I would recommend, if you're looking for a book that is highly magical and highly fantasy, you probably won't enjoy this as much. However, I love fantasy and I love magic, and those are all the things I look for in a fantasy book, and I still enjoyed it. So you should definitely think about what you want from a book before reading it. Thank you for watching this review. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope you will pick up this book and enjoy it too. And thank you for watching.